What are the top 5 archery mistakes preventing you from getting better? Let's talk about it. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us. Zach and JR here with Extreme Outfitters, your #1 bow shop for all things archery and outdoors. Today, we are talking about some of the top 5 mistakes that we see new archers getting into the game that prevent them from becoming a better archer or really slow the process down. So these are pretty common things that we see. And number one, I'm a big fan of shooting a higher poundage bow. I know you are as well, but that's got to be within reason, right? So the first thing that we see people getting into it are guys that end up getting overbowed.
Correct.
Overbowed is a real problem. When you see somebody really ripping and having a struggling to get that bow back, that is going to be counterproductive for you in the field shooting your bow.
Yes, it will start fatiguing you a lot faster, and it's just going to really make you inconsistent on your shots.
Yeah, shooting a bow is already a different experience, right? If you've never shot a bow before, you utilize different muscles than you typically do on a day-to-day basis. So you're already going to fatigue a little bit faster being new to the sport. And when somebody gets into archery and they want that heavy poundage bow right away, maybe they spend a lot of time in the gym, but they've never shot a bow, it's going to show really quick whenever they go to draw that bow back and they're fighting it.
Correct. Yeah, I see it multiple times throughout the year. People coming in, especially around here, Jacksonville, North Carolina, a lot of Marines coming in, and they hit the gym a lot, like I did, and we'll see it all the time. 70 pounds, that's nothing, and they'll struggle to get it back. So that is one thing to really consider. Even get 70-pound bow, but turn it down a little bit until you're comfortable with it, and then slowly start with turning it up.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about it, especially if you're a new archer and you get into some of these ready to shoot package bows or these adjustable bows, you can start that bow a little bit lower poundage, and as you progress, you can dial it up so that you can eventually get to that peak weight that you're after.
Correct.
Because that's one of the goals, right? We want to maximize the bow's performance, and that's by maxing the bow out. So if you can shoot a 70-pound bow, that's fantastic. But if you're struggling with it indoors, you're in a controlled environment like in a shop, or it's a nice day outside, you're shooting on flat ground and you struggle getting that bow back, that's gonna be a real issue. One of the things that we like to do, or that you can do to kind of test yourself, is sit and draw the bow, or sit in a chair or kneeling to make sure you can draw that bow in different positions. And if you can't, dial the bow down until you are able to. Mistake number 2 that we see, I'm notorious for it, I think most new archers are, and especially depending on the type of the release they use, is punching the trigger. It's a very, very common mistake. These bows and these releases are not designed, or the proper shooting etiquette is not to smash that trigger. What would you say, JR?
100% agree. It's a very easy thing to get into. You start getting anxiety, and you just want to get that shot off, and it's just natural instinct. You just slap it and snatch it and just make it go off. It's a hard thing to go around. I've struggled with it myself in the past, and it can become a very big problem.
Absolutely. And that's why they have different release options, right? We've got index finger releases, we've got thumb buttons, we've got resistance releases, we've got hinge releases. There's a whole bunch of different release options to help eliminate or minimize, that trigger punching, because once you get in the habit of, like JR said, of doing it, it becomes very difficult to break. You do not want to, I guess you could call it command shoot, right? We want to draw that bow back, we want to get anchored, and we want to start pulling through that shot, so that shot almost comes off as a surprise when it breaks.
Correct. Yeah, so I switched, like myself, years ago to a hinge, and I've never looked back. I've been way more consistent with that, and it's a lot harder to punch a hinge as well.
I agree. I've used to shoot I think as most people did, started off on an index release, and it's hard, I think, for a lot of people to get in and get anchored, get real deep on that trigger and squeeze through that shot. Most people want to wrap around it, they get their pin settled on the target, and they bang, slap that trigger. It's very easy to do. So I've gone to a thumb button, and more recently I've been playing with a hinge myself to help eliminate those issues, because when my pin gets settled, sometimes I get a little excited and I want that shot to go off right away, and I end up pulling that shot.
Yep, so one of the biggest reasons why we're really preaching this is So if you start slapping the trigger, you're going to start tensing your body up, so that's going to cause you to move around a lot, and sometimes you can even come off your back wall a little bit, so that can cause erratic arrow flights as well. So that's something to really, really focus on.
Absolutely. So from there, we move into mistake number 3 that we see. This is our poor stance or inconsistent stance. Me and JR were just talking about that. And this can also come from being overbowed. We see it a lot with new shooters, right? They'll get a bow, they'll get it drawn back, and they've got a weird lean trying to hold this bow in order to hold it back, get it back all the way, and it becomes very awkward, and you become very inconsistent with that.
Yes, because that'll start changing your body position, so it will start changing how you're anchoring on the bow, and it can even change your anchor on the bow too, so that's something to really consider about. What we'd like to see is basically having your feet about shoulder width apart. For a right-handed shooter, I like to have my right foot just a hair bit forward. It's going to keep my hips a little bit open to the target, and then we're going to be a lot more consistent with that setup.
Yeah, we see it as well, especially some of the guys that come over that are used to shooting rifles, right? Guys that shoot a gun a lot, especially some of our active duty guys, they'll come in and they'll shoot a bow, and they want to square up their feet and hips to the target, which is not what we're doing with the bow, right? We want to do just like JR said, get our body set correctly, get our feet set underneath of us about shoulder width apart. So that way it kind of opens our chest up. We have a nice proud posture, and we're very consistent in our foot placement on the ground. Number 4. So this is not a race. Mistake 4 that we see a lot is guys shooting too fast. It's fun, right? We get in, you got a dozen arrows in your quiver or, on the range, and you just boom, shoot, 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 shoot. You fatigue really fast as a new archer shooting a bow. We encourage you to slow it down and slow your pace down, right? Enjoy the process. Shoot an arrow, take a break for a second, go through and work through your shot process, because if not, you'll shoot a dozen arrows and you'll notice they're all over the target.
Yep, and the more you start shooting that session, the more you're going to notice your group is going to start spreading further apart, because you're going to become more inconsistent with the fatigue that you're getting on your body. So that's why what I like to do is I personally like to shoot 3 arrow groups. I'll shoot 1 arrow, wait about 30 seconds or so, shoot another arrow, and continue on. Then I'll go down, pull my group, and see where I'm at.
Yeah, that's solid. If you're like me, I typically do not have a lot of arrows at one time, right? I got a 4 arrow quiver. Typically I'll have 4 arrows. And one of the things that I like to do, like especially if I'm shooting in the morning, I like to do like a cold bore shot, walk out, shoot 1 arrow, walk down, go get it, walk back and shoot. And that keeps me honest, and it really slows it down for me, because I'm one of those ones, if I've got 4 arrows, half a dozen arrows, I can get in the habit of slinging them quick to try to get to whatever amount of arrows that I'm trying to shoot for that day.
Yeah, just remember, guys, we're not Legolas, we're not in the movie, so yeah, just enjoy the process like Zach said.
Slow it down. And mistake number 5, I think this is the biggest one, right? Guys get a bow, they shoot their bow right up until season, maybe don't even shoot it during the season because they don't see a deer or anything. They don't practice through the season, and the bow gets put down until the next season, right? So they've pretty much lost everything that they developed, and they've got to redevelop it going into that season. So mistake number 5 is not practicing enough or not spending enough time behind the riser of your bow.
Yeah, it's a very easy thing to get out of that cycle, especially like Zach said, when you're in the hunting season. A lot of guys don't go out and practice because they got their broadheads on, so you're just going to go out and just hunt. If you don't see anything, well, obviously you're not going to shoot it. So that is one thing I am guilty of myself, is I don't practice enough during the season as well. So that is something to really consider to help keep your skills up. It's
important too, right? Because things change throughout the season as well, right? Maybe you've bumped your bow and you don't notice you've bumped it, and then you go to take a shot on an animal and that arrow flights off. Well, if you were spending time shooting that bow during the season just to make sure it's still in tune and everything, you'd see if any problems arise.
Correct.
Yeah, it's important. It happens more often than you think. Especially being in the woods, dragging the bow around, beating it around, trying to get it up and down trees. Things happen. So you can eliminate those issues by continuing to shoot during the season. And then one of the things that we do here to keep it fun in the off season is we do 3D events, right? So if you have the ability to, and there's a local club or local shop around you, try to get out to some of the shoots. I mean, you don't got to shoot the bow every day, but it's good to keep those fundamentals, keep building on those fundamentals and staying behind that bow in the off season. So when the season comes, you're good to go. If there's going to be any, issues, it's not going to be you, it's going to be the equipment, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that pretty much covers it, guys. Our top 5 mistakes that we see from new archers getting into the game. So if you have any questions, drop them below. Let us know some of the mistakes that you have had to work through, or some of the problem areas that you've kind of had to work through, whether it's a target panic, slapping the trigger, not having enough time to shoot your bow. We've all been there. Work schedules get busy. So drop some comments, give us some feedback. Let us know what you guys think, some of the mistakes that you guys are seeing. And as always, head over to the website, extremeoutfitters.com, for all of your archery needs. If you've ever got any questions, we're open 7 days a week here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, right outside of Camp Lejeune. So if you got questions on anything, you need somebody to walk you through shot process, setting up, tuning a bow, we've got techs on staff that would be happy to help you out.
Don't forget, guys, as well, we offer free cut and glue on all of our arrows, and you can also buy them individually. So if you're looking for a new arrow to try out, head over to the website, extremeoutfitters.com.
As always, guys, we appreciate you watching. We will see you guys in the next video.